Welcome back to Let's Talk About Films. If you are here again after watching my first video, thank you, it means a lot. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is where we dive deep into the unique films, exploring themes, directors' visions, and everything that makes cinema unforgettable. Today, we are taking a closer look at The Shrouds by David Cronenberg, a film that promises to blend horror, grief, and the surreal in true Cronenberg style. I'm excited to break it down and share my thoughts with you. After his 2014 film Maps to the Stars, David Cronenberg took a break from filmmaking but returned 8 years later with Crimes of the Future, a powerful comeback that left a lasting impact. This time, Cronenberg didn't keep us waiting too long for his next project, bringing The Shrouds to the screen. Originally intended as a miniseries, the film premiered at the Cannes Film Festival but was eventually reshaped into a full-length feature. For the lead role, Cronenberg cast Vincent Cassel, an actor he has collaborated with before. The cast later expanded to include notable names like Diane Kruger and Guy Pearce. After its premiere, The Shrouds received a mix of reviews and is set for an international release next year. Today, I'll be diving into The Shrouds, which is arguably one of Cronenberg's most personal films to date, and exploring how it transforms the theme of grief into a form of performance art. But before diving into The Shrouds, let's take a moment to reflect on grief, a theme that is as universal as it's deeply personal. Grief shapes us, distorts our reality, and forces us to confront aspects of life and death we often rather avoid. As horror master Stephen King once wrote, grief is like a wave that washes over you. Sometimes it's gentle, sometimes it's a tidal wave that drowns you. In those waves, we find ourselves grappling with loss in ways we never thought possible, searching for something to cling to amid the chaos. In horror literature, grief often takes on a life of its own. Shirley Jackson noted, "No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality." Grief becomes that absolute reality, changing the world around us, making familiar things seem strange and frightening. Horror taps into this because it's those depths of sorrow that our deepest fears lie, fear of the unknown, of being alone, and of being unable to control what happens to the people we love. Clive Barker also offered insight into how grief shapes us, saying any horror writer who ignores the grief of the survivors is writing a different genre. Horror isn't just about the monsters outside, but about those we carry within. The process of grieving becomes a personal haunting, a constant reminder that our lives are marked by both love and loss. In The Shrouds, David Cronenberg dives into this intense emotional experience, exploring grief as a force we can almost touch, see, and confront. Grief is no longer just a quiet, internal struggle, but becomes something almost physical, a performance we can observe. So, let's explore how Cronenberg takes us through this journey and challenges us to face grief as he sees it. Unable to find peace since his wife's death, Karsh invents grave tech, a revolutionary and controversial technology. With grave tech, the bereaved can observe their loved ones' bodies within their shrouds buried in the cemetery. But one night, several graves, including that of Karsh's wife, are vandalized. Karsh sets out to track down the culprits, all the while haunted by the suspicion that a larger, more sinister conspiracy is at play. Inspired by his own experiences after losing his wife of 43 years, Cronenberg delves into the endlessness and physical stages of grief. He poses a bold question: can death be turned into a form of performance art? As an atheist, Cronenberg doesn't view death as a new beginning, yet he transforms decaying bodies into a visual experience for those left behind, turning them into a unique art form. The human body remains one of the world's most mysterious entities, and Karsh, Cronenberg's alter ego in a way, invests in a journey exploring the body's transformations after death. Cronenberg's fresh perspective on death and mourning aligns with his signature themes of bodily and technological obsession. Here, as he's done so masterfully in his past work, Cronenberg confronts traditional themes in a provocative and unsettling way. He doesn't just confront his own alter ego, but also drags viewers into an innovative confrontation with death and loss. This technological device that allows people to watch the decay of their loved ones represents not only the stages of death, but also the unending nature of grief. The Shrouds, therefore, doesn't merely layer the process of mourning, it elevates death into a kind of performance. The concept of death and mourning in the Shrouds symbolizes not just an individual experience, but also a social and cultural transformation. The essence of grief is often hidden, tied to privacy and emotional depth. However, in the Shrouds, mourning isn't just displayed, it's transformed into a visual experience through science and technology, turning one of humanity's most primal fears, death, into something almost tangible. Grief is no longer just an abstract pain, it becomes a physical process that unfolds before the viewer's eyes, a kind of absurd reality. This perspective brings to mind fears rooted in the unknown, with death's ultimate mystery being among the greatest. Cronenberg places the audience into a deeply unsettling position, forcing them to confront the ethical and psychological implications of witnessing a body's decay during the grieving process. Here, death isn't an end, it's a performance, and bodily decomposition reflects the unraveling of emotional reality. This technology-focused viewpoint also prompts us to reflect on the boundaries of the human body and our collective relationship with technology. It raises questions. Does witnessing the body's decay provide a sense of control? Does seeing the evolution of the body during death make the mourning process more complex? While grief is a private and traditionally personal experience, can it transform into a form of art? Could technology be a tool in understanding and accepting the inevitability of death, or does it only further alienate us from the experience? As you watch The Shrouds and pursue these questions, Cronenberg continues to explore the limits of physical and mental experiences. His unsettling new vision of death sheds light on how we as humans develop a resistance to death and how this resistance transforms us in the process. One of the most intriguing aspects of The Shrouds is its exploration of AI and technology's potential impact on the cycle of human life and death. Cronenberg doesn't present AI merely as a tool. Within the film, it represents a glimmer of hope, a possible solution or escape in humanity's existential struggle against death, yet this hope is questioned and critiqued throughout the film. Through this, Cronenberg brings a new dimension to The Shrouds, interweaving contemporary phenomena like AI and conspiracy theories into its narrative. By turning humanity's helplessness in the face of death into a tech-driven quest, the film possesses scenarios of a dystopian future. Viewers are left to ponder how AI might manipulate human emotions and consciousness, and how, despite the inevitability of death, the drive to survive could be channeled through technology. In this way, the film serves as a metaphor for a deep-seated conspiracy theory about the life and death cycle. AI in The Shrouds also functions as a mechanism of control. Could the preservation of consciousness in a digital realm be part of a system designed to control humanity? With this question, The Shrouds introduces a conspiracy theory. Is AI a manipulative force, or does it offer a genuine solution? Through his alter ego, Cronenberg invites the audience to contemplate AI's potential influence on humanity in a profound and unsettling way. In summary, The Shrouds stands out as one of the most personal projects in David Cronenberg's filmography. Returning to his classic themes, Cronenberg presents a narrative steeped in coldness, emotional detachment, and deep paranoia through his cinematic alter ego. The film explores grief, death, and existential anguish through scientific, religious, and metaphysical lenses. His scientific approach merges with questions surrounding the functionality of the body after death, inviting viewers into an abstract thought experiment rather than a purely emotional journey. This film could be described as a cold, dark, and emotionless experience. The character's emotional distance seems to mirror Cronenberg's own existential crisis. Human relationships appear shadowy, vague, and ethereal, reflecting a sense of general detachment from the world. The characters' alienation from one another creates an intentional distance that keeps viewers at arm's length, almost like subjects in a scientific experiment rather than participants in an emotional story. When all these elements come together, the Shrouds pushes viewers to contemplate death as an art form. While its storyline spanning conspiracy theories, AI, existential crises, and religious inquiries may not resonate with everyone, it effectively impacts its intended audience. Cronenberg isn't aiming to provoke a strong emotional reaction, rather, it takes the viewer on an unsettling intellectual journey, prompting deep reflections on the body, existence, and the physical aspects of mourning. Anchored by powerful performances from Vincent Cassel, Diane Kruger, and Guy Pearce, The Shroud is likely to polarize even die-hard Cronenberg fans. Throughout his career, Cronenberg has explored the connection between the body and psychological trauma, and here he presents grief as a tangible element. The Shroud is undoubtedly one of Cronenberg's most intriguing cinematic experiments. Thanks so much for watching this deep dive into the Shrouds and Cronenberg's haunting take on grief and technology. If you enjoy exploring these themes with me, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more film analysis and discussions. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about Cronenberg's portrayal of grief, or about horror that confronts us with such personal themes? Stay tuned for more videos coming up soon, where we'll continue to look at films that pushes boundaries and give us something to think about long after we leave the theater.